No, we've got our eyes on Parliament. One of the things that we are kind of anticipating is the minority's bid to become the majority, right? They intend to insist that all those members of Parliament who have decided to run as independents in the next election should, as per the ruling made by the former Speaker of Parliament, Right Reverend Mike Ocquaye, Professor Mike Ocquaye. Is he Right Reverend? Yes, Professor Mike Ocquaye. By that ruling of his in that other case, I think it was the Fomina one, wasn't it? Yes. Fomina. By that ruling, these, I think, four members of Parliament should basically no longer be members of Parliament. And, well, guess what? Elton Brobe spoke to Professor Aaron Michael Ocquaye, who has, well, pretty much shared his views following the decision of, the minority MP, the minority to basically have those four MPs removed. Okay, so here's what he said. In an interview that we are yet to air, he said that the two cases are not the same. He urged his successor, Alban Bagbin, to take a critical look at the matter, insisting that the move by the minority is needless. Let's listen to him.
You cannot judge a person without giving him fair hearing. What the law says I must do, without his input, because he has chosen not to respond.
So Prof, the situation we have on our hands, is it the same like you encountered before the 2020 elections?
It can be. It all depends. But let me tell you one thing about the mischief that a debate can cause. Supposing the majority people now in the Parliament at one time tell you that, oh, there is something against this particular person on the minority. He has actually operated against his party by something that he said or did somewhere, and so on and so forth. Then you bring it to the vote, and then you sack that MP because the ayes will become overcome the nays.
Right.
Then you sack them.
Right.
So it means the majority can use this as a mischievous instrument to continue sacking the minority.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Does anyone here get Professor Ocquaye's point?
Let me attempt to explain what he's trying to say. Prof, first and foremost, raises the question. You apply principles based on how close is it to the current situation. So he says these are not the same situations, and the facts are not the same. Maybe there's a longer voice that elucidates the point which separates the facts here from the previous one. Now, I've heard him say, or I've heard it be reported, that his argument is that first, the decision to have the MP removed should originate from the political party involved here. In this case, the New Patriotic Party. Again, that issue would have its own problems with the thinking. You know, we've been told that in the MPP, immediately you file to go independent, you have forfeited your role in the party and membership. You get the point?
Yeah.
So that issue, I don't know how Professor Mike Ocquaye would explain that. His argument is that it cannot originate from Harry Najusu or any other member of parliament. It should originate from political party, as in the decision to get the seat to be declared vacant should originate from the individual party here, that is the party outside, as in the headquarters of the New Patriotic Party. Secondly, he is also arguing that if we allow the system where MPs, be minority or majority, are the ones who bring it up, a situation where in the majority they have an issue with, say, Kojo Jansen on the other side, they can just raise an issue. A vote will determine whether or not Kojo Jansen ought to stay in the House. That's the other argument he raised. That is the only part we had in this particular point.
Yeah, but this is the challenge of that argument. I mean, the other side would raise what point? If you have not done anything that warrants that, that would not be raised. And you see, Professor Mike Ocquaye and at the time when he did that, I remember we spoke to Professor Ransford Jampo, who made the point, disagreed with Professor Mike Ocquaye, and I, sitting here, took the position of the likes of Professor Kwekwa Kwekwaza, and it makes a lot of sense. This is the point. One of the things Mike Ocquaye is not doing is probably say that maybe with hindsight he probably thinks he got it wrong. This is it for me. He's talked about
and there's nothing wrong with
getting it wrong.
So
he's talked about the party, even the party. This is the point.
But that's what lawyers do. They seek to distinguish facts,
yes,
so that cannot apply the same principle under very current circumstances.
But you're saying something about the party. I have a thought as well, but let me hear yours. Yeah.
What did we experience in the early period, in the 60s? You had people crossing carpet, so moving from one party in parliament, that same parliament, to another party, another group. You remember that? The situation we're faced with is not people saying, it's not the 2006 situation. Let me bring in the 2006. I'll get back to the party. The 2006 situation of Professor Wayoseni saying, I am leaving the NDC and going to my mother party, NPP, where he tried in parliament at the time to say, I'm crossing over to the NPP. No. In that case, his seat had to be declared vacant. Now, if you take, so the spirit of that law that we passed was to prevent the happenings of the 60s. If the party says you are dismissed from the party, however, your people, your constituents elected you to represent them, can the party alone take a decision that because you have been dismissed, automatically you lose your member of parliament status?
That issue has also been raised, whether or not the people deserve continuous representation,
yes,
or truncated representation because of a political party. I hope you get the point. The counter argument to that point is that you are known and brought into parliament not just on a constituency basis, but on a party ticket. If you are an independent, I'm sure it would have been established that the only grouping that can withdraw you from that parliament is when they vote you out subsequently at the end of the 4 years.
Okay.
So there is another layer of support, and that, in fact, in the words of the advocates of this world, you have deceived the people by not being what they presented to parliament, as in representing the party, because the people voted, mindful of where you belong to, and took you to parliament. I do not know how that feathers representation, for example.
So, Ray, and I okay. You see, I don't think there is any organ of government or any institution in this country that works harder to weaken itself than Parliament. Like, they do everything within their power to be weaker than they were the day before. And Professor Ocquaye's ruling is a typical example of this. Look, there are many constituencies where they will choose the president from one party and the member of parliament from another. This is their way of telling you that we are not voting for a party. These are the people we want to represent us. The people we want to represent us in parliament. But Professor Aaron Michael Ocquaye, in one fell swoop, made a ruling that immediately gave the political party control over parliament. And that's exactly what we are seeing, and he's reinforcing it with his most recent argument that such an action must come from the party. So the party decides who a parliamentarian is, not my vote. And he's doubling down on it. Well, if that's the case, I don't understand why it does not apply in this case.
But you know,
if we are sticking to that principle, why does it not apply here?
And the point that you make, to further expand that point, if we're implementing a proportional representation system, where you are voting for political parties, and the political parties will submit the numbers they want as members of parliament,
that would be a different matter.
Then you say, beg your pardon, if I sack you from parliament, if I sack you from the political party, you're out of it.
Yes.
I still submit that the people voted for that person. The people voted for that person, and the only people who can impeach that person
Other people
are the ones who voted for him.
The reason we allow Parliament to impeach the president by even a 2/3 majority is the acceptance that Parliament is the representation of the people. The representatives of the people. So I'll give you a typical example.
Not the party.
Yes, I'll give you a typical example. The NDC won 13 seats in the central region in the 2020 elections.
Yet.
The NPP won 10. But President Akufo-Addo won in 19 of those constituencies.
True.
Why does the NPP not have 19 members of parliament if the belief is that you stood on the ticket of a political party and thus deceived people to vote for you because of your association with the political party?
Precisely. Precisely.
Look, yes, the political party would give you, may give you advantage, but today we have not been able to, determine what advantage it will give you. My point is that at the end of it, the people, the MP is voted for by his people. They have the responsibility or the right to say, you should not represent us again. The only time that he cannot be a member of parliament is when he fails to represent his people by not showing up in parliament.
Precisely.
And so the constitution makes provision that if you fail to represent your people, and failing to represent your people is not being present at 15 meetings of parliament.
Do you know, I get your point, right?
Yeah.
The reason why, for example, members of parliament, for example, in the UK, can stand up against their own prime minister.
Yeah.
Because the only thing they say is that
backed by
if you withdraw my whip, I am backed by my constituents.
Yes.
The only people I represent here.
Yes.
That's the key. And they do it easily and they move on with their lives. By our own, whenever we have this conversation, who do they represent? Why should they represent a political party instead of me who voted for them?
You see, in any case,
come and tell me all the...
Yeah, in any case, if I run for MP in my constituency and I win by, say, 70% of the vote, am I not member of parliament for the other 30%?
You are actually.
Yeah, for all.
So why? How can the political party decide who represents those 30%? When a democratic process has chosen me? No. Honestly, Professor Ocquaye has weakened Parliament with that ruling, and he seems to be doubling down on it. Anyway, shall we move on?
The Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, let 2024 elections be peaceful. Yana appeals to Ghanaians, and President Akufo-Addo is exchanging pleasantries with Yana Bukari Mahama II. And the other one, NDC unveils strategy to create 1.7 million jobs. Jobs, yes. 1.7 million jobs. You can create votes, yeah. Yeah. 2024 general elections, EC releases revised provisional voters register, and the one online after correcting discrepancies and removing anomalies. So this is predominantly online. You can check it if you do want to check it. Ghana Health Service records 9 cholera cases in Greater Accra. That's also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. And at the back page, the thing people don't want to talk about and pretend that didn't happen, Sudan.
As Lil Wayne tweeted, Susan.
Yeah, Susan.
Was it Twitter or Facebook?
Facebook.
Yeah. Sudan blight Black Stars. That is no longer.
I told you yesterday that don't be too sure about the Black Stars.
I wasn't sure at all. In fact,
Winston is so happy that he predicted.
Yes. Those days that didn't work, he was taking back his word. No, I mean, see, I think people are now beginning to wake up to the coffee and saying that, Ocquaye, let's find a better restructuring plan. Let's go and look for 12-year-olds to train and take them through the system and have a long-term agenda. We have long-term development programs in place.
Raymond, let me tell you something. The Black Stars of 2006 to 2010 that we all liked and cherished was actually made mainly of the Argentina 2001 squad that actually played in the Under-20 World Cup. Now, in that final, in the Under-20 final, you had John Mensah, you had John Pencil, you had Michael Essien, you had Derek Boateng, and I think others. I mean, it was just more than 4 of them. And Sule Muntari.
That's right.
These guys became the core of the Black Stars. So Sule Muntari, Michael Essien, John Mensah, John Pencil played until 2010. And even some until 2014. Sule Muntari all played until 2014.
Yeah.
But by 2014, you had the likes of Andre Ayew, also a part of the under-20 squad at the time, which included Emmanuel Ajiman Bedu. Opoku Ajiman didn't really last. But then a few others. Up from 2009 to 2024, our juvenile teams have been woeful. We've underperformed. So how do you expect to do anything?
I think they are very popular people in the team. We should use them for the Stop Galamsey Now campaign. Yeah, they should help us with that.
Let's not burn the excavators.
Yes.
Let's use them for construction.
No.
So yeah, let's bring them to another purpose, right?
Yes, please.
It's on a lighter note. Somebody said, "You could do mekono." So I was advertising.
Yeah, people like that too much.
It's on a lighter note.
No. I saw that.
You saw somebody's product is suffering. Imagine.
Yes.
Anyway, so
these players don't like pepper.
Yeah, I mean, Winston's point is very important. I think maybe we need to just divorce all these agents from football, because it seems they are playing such an important role in who we select, and we are ending up with people who obviously don't work well together.
Okay.
And so listen, it's time we reset the clock.
And Daily Guide says fatal East Legon crash. Police arrest bishop and wife. Comes with their photograph here. And First Lady unveils renovated Ghana Council building. Independent MP's case. Apenyo marking 6 injunction. IPAC exposes NDC again. Government showcases Central Region projects. And PIAC holds workshop on oil production.